Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2015 OK Ethics Awards. My name is Randy Thurman, and I would like to start off this meeting with a bang. So if you'd please have your attention to the stage. You know, a lot of things in life seem, well, they seem impossible, don't they? And you might see these award winners and you think, well, they've had it easy, or they've got it made, or they've really come to grips with life or whatever. But the truth of the matter is they've had a lot of obstacles to overcome, and a lot of things in their life, well, it seemed impossible at first, much like a lot of things in your life seem impossible at first. You know, for example, you might say it's impossible to put this very large needle through a balloon. Pretty slim odds, wouldn't you think? And it is pretty slim odds, and you know, the pressure's on for me on that. But like a lot of things in life, hands are shaking. That's a fun deal. A lot of things in life seem impossible at first until you know how. And you know what? If the why you're doing it is strong enough, you'll figure out the how. But you got to work at it sometimes. It's not always easy. You can get a lot of things you want to accomplish in life, but you may have to work for it and do it the right way, of course. So my next thing to do is to share something with you that is impossible also, and that's to communicate with you just how much work is involved in putting up this meeting, and all the hours of the volunteers. There's a lot of effort that goes into putting on these meetings. The volunteers spend a countless number of hours. And if you look on your little white sheets, you'll see just part of the volunteers that put together this meeting. Now, if you're a volunteer for this meeting, if you would do me a favor, I know you're shy, but if you would do me a favor, and if you would stand up, please. If you would stand up if you've been a volunteer in helping putting on this meeting, a lot of you are there. Let's hear a thank you applause. The next thing I have for you is something extremely special and certainly more auditorily pleasing, if that's a word, auditorily, but it's very pleasing to the ear, much more pleasing than the pop of a balloon. But we have some students from the Dove School today. Robyn, Gramajo, did I pronounce that properly? Yes, cool. And Mariano Gonzalez. They're going to share with us Oklahoma. So please join me in a warm welcome.
The wind comes Hello. We're going a little out of order. I am Lynn Flynn, and I am honored to introduce this year's Oklahoma Executive Pilot Award winner. And this year, I think we have four. If there are four past recipients, if you'd raise your hands out there, past recipients. And thank you for your continued support. This year, our award winner was recognized, as always, by the Oklahoma Ethics Board. And the board looks for people who epitomize the Oklahoma values and who use their talents to promote ethics and integrity in the workplace and in their communities. And this year, we are fortunate that we have chosen Robyn Ewing, a senior vice president from the Williams Companies. And there's a lot about her. The bio is in the program, as well as more about the award. But what I want to say about Robyn, I'm going to just talk from the heart about her. I've known her for several years, and she really is the kind of person that I cannot imagine who we could pick that would more fit with this award. She, within her workplace, and there's several Williams tables here, they'll talk about how she represents that in the workplace. She started an initiative called Leave the Ladder Down, and it's to recognize and include people that are doing the right things in the workplace and help elevate that next generation of leaders. And additional to that, she's just very involved in the community, as you would all expect. But it's really how she lives out her life. She represents a place of integrity and safeness. When you go to her, she is a true role model to so many people in the community. So it is with great, great respect and love that I would like to represent to you and have you recognize Robyn Ewing.
Thank you, Lynn, for those kind words. That was really very, very nice. And thanks to each of you for your warm response today. Also a heartfelt thank you to the OK Ethics for selecting me for this prestigious award. I was very honored to receive it. I was also asked to talk about, for a few minutes, what ethics and integrity mean to me and what advice, if any, I would have for you. As I thought about that topic, I was reminded of my mother. She's been one of the most influential role models for me, and I've incorporated her teachings into many aspects of my professional and my personal life. My mother has always been a hero to me. She's the person who established my moral compass. She taught me early about the importance of integrity and took it upon herself to help me keep that compass always calibrated. I'm guessing each of you have someone like that you can measure yourself up against in terms of success. But building a reputation of integrity takes years. It only takes a second to lose. She taught me that sound morals and integrity can't be created in just a day or a quarter or a year. The behaviors associated with integrity must be institutionalized in our character over many years. They must become a way of life for us. It helps to arm us for the challenges to come. As we think about our work environments, we must be vigilant in building a culture that helps our employees make the right choices. It's one of the reasons integrity is listed as the #1 value on our core values and belief at Williams. We know integrity is to be an internal system of principles that guide our behaviors. It can be challenging for companies to create and then comply with their own set of ethics. Employees at all levels in a company can experience pressure to act against ethical standards and what is really counter to their own integrity. There are many internal and external factors that constantly challenge our integrity. In fact, I think we read about them in the newspaper almost every day. Low self-esteem, financial problems, insecurity at work, challenges with coworkers or managers, family problems can be risk factors that discourage integrity. As leaders, we have to be aware of these risk factors and help our employees understand that integrity is always being tested. I'm certainly not perfect, and I believe that having the courage to ask ourselves questions that can steer us through tough times when our integrity is challenged can help us and our employees. And some of those questions might be, is this the right course of action? How would I feel if I was treated this way? Will I respect myself for this decision? And of course, my mother's favorite, would you do it if I was sitting next to you? The answer to that when I was a teenager is probably a little bit different than it is today as an adult. She also stressed the importance of honorable and compassionate behavior and looking for the positive in people. The golden rule, to treat others as you would want to be treated yourself, was always her mantra. Putting this rule to use each day in our lives can really transform our relationship not only with ourselves but with others. And it really is a part of the fabric of our integrity. As a leader at Williams, one of the most important roles I play is to guide my team. Smart people who are encouraged to make decisions, to do the jobs to the best of their abilities, and to achieve their goals in a way that they can all be proud of. Their integrity is integral to their success and to our company's success. They demonstrate their integrity by being open to feedback and acting on that feedback, accepting personal responsibility for their actions, and also practicing understanding, demonstrating compassion, and respecting views that are different from their own. And of course, acting with integrity even when it's not convenient. I'm thankful that my mother modeled integrity for me with her unconditional love and thoughtful teachings. Although she's been gone for many years, her words of encouragement still ring in my ears and have a place in my heart. Is this trying to tell me I'm talking too long? Her legacy lives on, and I've tried to share and emulate her lessons with my children, my grandchildren, and the folks I work with at Williams. In closing, I want to share a challenge that General Charles Krulak issued to the attendees at the Joint Services on a conference on integrity. It's really a very simple challenge, but I found it very powerful. It was this: wear your integrity like armor. Take full measure of its weight. Find comfort in its protection. Do not become lax. And always, always remember that no one can take it away from you. Only you can give it away. Thanks again for this wonderful award.
Well, I tell you, the mic challenges persist, don't they? Thanks for bearing with us. We're trying to locate somebody now, and I think Jaleisha has the general manager's cell phone number on speed dial, so I'm hoping that she's calling him right now. Anyway, thank you all for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Kit Letcher, and I'm the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Central Oklahoma. And this has been my first year to serve on the OK Ethics selection team. And I have to tell you, I was really impressed with the applicants this year. It was very great to see all of the companies are doing great work here in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma itself.
Great. Thanks for serving, Kit. It was a pleasure having you on the team, and of course we didn't really go easy on you, did we?
No, not this year.
This year was not easy because we had more than triple the number of applications for the Community Impact Award than we've ever had before, and they were exceptional quality too.
It made the decision-making quite challenging, but we persevered, and today we'd like to honor those candidates who are not only serving the community in their own way, but also promoting Oklahoma values of integrity at work.
That's right. We're very privileged to have a number of organizations who take care educating our young people or feeding the homeless. But this award is reserved for those who specifically and intentionally promote good character or strong ethical values in the community.
Today, we will be honoring those wonderful organizations. We decided to recognize the top leaders in each of the two categories. Once you have accepted your award, please proceed to the photograph area where we will be taking your picture today.
Right over there. Good. Ted West. All right. The first Community Impact Leadership Award goes to the General Tommy Franks Institute in Hobart, Oklahoma. And while Warren Martin, their executive director, is making his way to the podium, we'd like to tell you something about what they're doing.
The General Tommy Franks Leadership Institute is being honored today for their efforts in promoting strong virtues in the community through their inspired leadership experience. This program emphasizes the 4 stars of leadership, which include character, communication, common vision, and caring.
Over the past year, the Institute has conducted inspired leadership experiences with 54 schools, 27 businesses, and 2 military bases. In fact, they have reached more than 8,700 people this year. You can read more about the Institute on page 12 of your program. Warren, congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Shannon and OK Ethics, thank you for the award. Couldn't do it without the 2 people sitting over there at the table over there. Our new interim director, Nikki Jones, and our museum manager, Scott Cum, who are both part of this program and really enable us to touch a lot of lives. Also, can I make a little announcement?
Okay.
Okay. If you'll notice in your program, there's a place for July 17th, the next OK Ethics banquet, and it's got a big question mark and a mystery guest. Well, I want to share with you today that I can't share with you today who that mystery guest is. But what I can share with you is that if that mystery guest is who we think it's going to be, then they're probably going to be the former prime minister of a European nation who brokered a major peace accord and will be coming to talk to you about conflict management on July 17th. So it's one that you want to be at. I didn't tell you that, but it's one that you want to be at, and we are waiting on final confirmation, but it's going to be a spectacular program, and we look forward to seeing all of you there. And thank you for OK Ethics for partnering with us to make that happen.
Absolutely. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Warren. Next, we'd like to invite Dr. Jeff Simmons with Oklahoma Christian University to the stage.
If we were handing out grades, Oklahoma Christian would definitely get an A+. The selection team was impressed with their 3 primary initiatives to promote integrity.
That's right. These are their core curriculum requirement that both undergraduate and graduate programs include a class on business ethics, their annual J.J. Milliken Ethics Symposium in which industry leaders present ethical perspectives on business issues. They also host Ethics Week during chapel.
Now, near and dear to my heart and those on the foundation board is their involvement with the OK Ethics activities. Since 2011, Oklahoma Christian has supported a team of students to participate in the OK Ethics statewide Student Ethics Challenge and the Texas Regional Ethics Bowl, which, by the way, for the last couple of years, Oklahoma has beat Texas several times. My apologies, Stephen, but I had to say that. They've made it to nationals. Oklahoma Christian has made it to nationals 3 out of the 4 times that they've competed. Pretty impressive.
Dr. Simmons, on behalf of the OK Ethics selection team, please accept our hearty congratulations for such an outstanding effort.
I want to thank the Oklahoma Ethics Consortium for this award. It's really on behalf of Oklahoma Christian. I have with me Ms. Elaine Kelly, who is the been the director of the J.J. Milliken Ethics Symposium, who's brought speakers from all over the nation to this program. We're looking forward to this fall, where we're bringing some top prominent business leaders and government leaders to come discuss the role that business plays and government regulation plays in promoting social justice. So we look forward to that event in September. And then I think perhaps the efforts that we have at Oklahoma Christian are best displayed in the students that we produce. And with me is also Mr. Charles Carter, who has been on the ethics team for the past 3 years and just graduated last week. This has been a big week for him. He's able to join you for lunch this week, and last week he graduated with his bachelor's degree, and he'll be heading to Southern Methodist University's law school to hopefully inject some ethics in the legal profession there too as well. Oklahoma Christian thanks you, and also the support that we have from the OK Ethics Foundation in helping us participate in the Ethics Bowls both regionally and nationally. So thank you so much.
Okay. The Community Impact Awards are divided into 2 categories. The first one has to do with education. And so we're going to begin by recognizing Dove Science Academy in Oklahoma City. And I'll tell you, as they come up here, they're going for a record. This is their 3rd year to be honored, and that's a great achievement.
Congratulations. We'll ask you to see Edith Steele, our selection team co-chair at the center area below. And once each honoree has picked up their award, please proceed to the photography area so that we can get your photograph.
And I believe Kristen Smith, you're accepting, and we're waiting for Sherry and Edith to come on up here. You're going to find more information about these terrific honorees on pages 14 and 15 of your program. Dove is being recognized for its ongoing commitment to promoting good character on their campus. Each year, the leaders at the Academy seek ways to expand their service programs and create a sense of personal responsibility in helping their communities. For instance, they require that their high school students donate 30 hours of volunteer service every year. This is in addition to their character education program that uses both the Character First and Second Step principle. See what you started, Mr. Hill?
As a reminder, oh, that got really loud, didn't it? I'll step back. As a reminder, please proceed to the corner where we would like to take your picture. Next, we'd like to recognize the Oklahoma FFA Foundation, a statewide organization that has taught over 27,000 students the importance of integrity, ethical behavior, and good character. The 429 teachers in 360 high school classrooms convey the FFA Code of Ethics. They emphasize virtues such as respect, honesty, fair play, sportsmanship, and modesty.
Accepting the award for the Oklahoma FFA Foundation is Randy Gilbert, Vice Chairman of the Oklahoma FFA Foundation Board of Directors. And I had an opportunity to sit with Randy and his wife Suzanne at a guest at their annual FFA Legislative Lunch Dinner on Wednesday, and I was so impressed. These young people are the future of Oklahoma. They were well-spoken, they were polite, they were mature. Any employer would be lucky to have them. And I hope our businesses are paying attention here because we have some great young people involved with some terrific institutions that are being honored today. Thank you, Randy. Next, we'd like to acknowledge another impactful organization, Global Gardens in Tulsa. This is their 2nd time to be honored, and I believe that Aisha Kuykendall is accepting the award for them.
Global Gardens is a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering students in low-income communities to become agents of change. The organization served 2,177 individuals and families through various programs and 2 community gardens. In addition to various activities, one that really stands out is the Peace Table. This is designed to facilitate constructive conflict resolution skills. Aspects of this process teaches respect, commitment to resolution, understanding, and forgiveness.
The Peace Table is an incredible tool that empowers students to solve conflict with their words rather than through aggression. And many of these participants live in areas where they routinely witness violent criminal acts. So this approach that they're using at Global Gardens is a wonderful way to reinforce the idea that it's possible to achieve a community where people are listened to and treated fairly. So congratulations and many thanks to Global Gardens for their positive impact in the community.
Also, in the education category is junior achievement. And I believe that Shannon Beeler, their executive director in Tulsa, will be accepting their award today.
The activities of junior achievement is something that should be of special interest to our business leaders also. While Shannon is coming to the front, let us tell you a little bit more about junior achievement's efforts. This year alone, junior achievement will reach approximately 55,000 young people through their 20 different programs that teach business ethics, citizenship, and character development.
In fact, they've developed a program aptly named Excellence Through Ethics, which is a business ethics curriculum that is interwoven through Junior Achievement's existing classroom programs for grades 4 through 12. The Junior Achievement curricula is designed to impact students' behavior by teaching at an early age the concepts of teamwork, collaboration, responsibility, and ethical decision-making skills. Keep up the great work.
Right. With the exception of the honorable mentions, which we'll be getting to in a moment, this concludes the recognition of our education winners. So we're going to be moving on to those impacting the overall community. And we'll begin by recognizing the Girl Scouts of Eastern Oklahoma. They've been winning in this category ever since this particular awards process began in 2013. So let's welcome back Roberta Preston, CEO of Girl Scouts in Tulsa. It's a statewide organization, but they came all the way from Tulsa today.
Serving more than 10,000 girls in 30 counties of Eastern Oklahoma, this organization is not known just for their cookies, but for building girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. The Girl Scout law reminds the youth to be honest, fair, and responsible. One thing that really impressed the selection team was the way that they tracked their long-term impact. An alumni study indicated that 67% believed they were more responsible members of society. Thank you, Girl Scouts.
It's great to see such effort all over our state. I'm so thrilled that we're recognizing them. Next, we'd like to honor a group that is a leader in promoting ethics among nonprofits across the state. While Marnie Taylor, who everyone knows Marnie, makes her way up to pick up the award, let us tell you about the work that the Oklahoma City Center for Nonprofits is doing. It's no surprise that this is the second time that the center has been recognized. They are responsible for promoting positive, ethical business practices among nonprofits in Oklahoma by introducing the Standards of Excellence Initiative. To date, more than 520 organizations have graduated from the Standards for Excellence Clinic series throughout Oklahoma, and we use those books for OK Ethics as well.
The Standards for Excellence Code has been adopted by GuideStar recently, with that organization noting certified organizations on its own website. GuideStar is one of 2 nationally recognized charity watchdogs websites that provide useful public information to donors, stakeholders, and other interested parties. With blessings from both GuideStar and local philanthropic community, we believe that Standards for Excellence has made a lasting impression on our state to help nonprofits act more transparently and with greater accountability to donors and stakeholders.
Thank you, Marnie. All right, next I'd like to invite my favorite sheriff up to accept the award for the Oklahoma Sheriff's Office. This is the very first time that the Sheriff's Office has applied for the award, and it was exciting to read about the efforts being made there. Back in 2000, the office was seeking a way to resolve ongoing problems of discipline and vandalism in the department's juvenile housing. They found a solution with the Character First program.
That's right. Once the program was implemented with the juvenile detainees, the property destruction stopped immediately. The Character Initiative now reaches nearly 45,000 detainees passing through the Oklahoma County Detention Center. Inmates are exposed to skills and alternatives necessary to change from a life of crime into responsible citizens who will exhibit positive qualities.
And they've expanded it to all of the Sheriff's Department, impacting nearly 1,000 employees of that office. Everyone there is reminded of the importance of these key virtues. Their comprehensive efforts unites the entire team for a common purpose of serving and protecting Oklahoma citizens. Let's give all of these honorees a big hand. Next, I'd like to acknowledge some other great organizations who have achieved honorable mention. Will you please stand while we call your name? It's not necessary to come to the front. We'll just go ahead and have you stand in place. First of all, Integris Health. I believe you're right over here.
Oklahoma Baptist University.
The Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence.
The Oklahoma City Community Foundation.
REI from Durant, Oklahoma. Thank you for coming up.
And Smart Start.
A hearty congratulations to everyone. Now, thank you for bearing with us through these mic. You guys are wonderful. Please join me in welcoming now Mike Strong, co-chair of the OK Ethics selection team, and Dr. James Branscombe, also a member of the team.
You're going to have to pardon me. The allergy season has gotten me a real bug this year, so I've been coughing for 2 months, and I think it'll be over soon. As Shannon said, I'm Mike Strong, the co-director of the co-founder of the Compass Awards, along with Edith Steele. Edith, raise your hand. We've been doing this for 10 years now, since 2005, and it's great to see the organization and the enthusiasm within the community and within the state embrace what the consortium has been doing and focusing attention on such great values as ethics in business. I want to thank my other dedicated team members, and you'll find them on pages 6 and 7 of the program. These team members include Dr. James Branscombe, Carla Brockman, Oscar Jackson, and these people have served for just about the whole time that the foundation, since the foundation started. Plus our two covers, Kit Letcher and Sherry Nelson. Could you all raise your hands? Or yeah, there you go. And I want to give special thanks to Dr. John Faust, who was the originator behind the Community Impact Awards. John? Yeah. Let me begin by explaining that the award process is based on the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Awards. We've pulled certain facets and excerpts from that quality award into the Compass Awards. The selection team relies heavily on data that demonstrate that organizations' processes are truly working to successfully promote integrity in the workplace. It's not an easy process, but certainly worth the investment of time required by the institutions, and we applaud all the participants' efforts in this regard.
Thanks, Mike. I'm James Branscombe, and I've served on the awards team since 2009. I'd like to begin by recognizing two companies that impressed the awards selection team. They are being recognized as honorable mention recipients this year. When I call your names, please come forward to the center area, and Edith and Sherry, if you'll come back up, they will be presenting the awards. And then we're going to invite you to go to the photographer's area, which is set up in the corner of the room. As a matter of fact, all of the award recipients are invited to pose with their groups and Mr. Howard after this event. First, I'd like to recognize Industrial Controls of Oklahoma. I believe their general manager, Mike Huckabee, is here from Tulsa to collect their award. Some of us on the team recognized that it seemed they had worked with Bama and noticed a definite influence there, and you're following some good footsteps as Bama won the OK Ethics Compass Awards in the year 2007. More than that, we were impressed with this company, which has been around for 35 years and has an impeccable safety record, low turnover rate with a high degree of accountability and transparency. Congratulations to you and your team, Mike.
Next, we'd like to honor this year's Compass Award winner. Many of you have heard mention of Character First with several of our Community Impact Award recipients, including the Sheriff's Department's Dove Science Academy, and just now with Smith Kernke. Excuse me, I jumped one.
But we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Next, let me back up just a minute. I'm sorry about that. Next, I'd like to recognize Smith and Kernke Funeral Homes and Cremation in Oklahoma City. I believe that Joe Kernke will be accepting the honor today. While he makes his way forward, I will tell you about this organization. Smith Kernke is a family-owned business in Oklahoma City that has been in operation since 1939. Here is another group that is not only recognized for having high ethical standards by their funeral home association, but follows up with customer and family satisfaction surveys to ensure good quality. More than that, they use the character training that we've heard mentioned several times today. Our hats are off to you and your team's efforts to promote solid ethical practices.
As Mike said, the Compass Awards application process is complex, and so we appreciate these companies and the diligent work that they have done.
Okay. Yeah, now next we'd like to honor this year's Compass Award winner. Many of you have heard about Character First with several of our other previous recipients. The program is due to its founder, Thomas Hill, CEO of Chemray, who was influenced by his father-in-law, Garmin Kimmel. Character First has reached more than 2,000 businesses and 1,800 school districts and countless communities here and abroad. No surprise that the selection team was impressed with Chemray for the incredible depth of attention given to developing and promoting good character among its own 880 employees and their families. Not only that, but they work hard to provide open and honest communications in realizing their vision of making a difference in the lives of those served. That goes well beyond customer relations, but Chemray's core values are based on honoring the Lord in all we do. You can't get much higher aspirations than that.
That's exactly right, Mike. Established in 1948, Chemray is in the business of designing and manufacturing equipment and valves for the upstream oil and gas industry. You can read more about Chemray on page 8 and 9 of your program guide. But without further delay, we're pleased to congratulate Chemray Incorporated as the year's OK Ethics Compass Award recipient. Please help me in welcoming their chairman, Mr. Tom Hill.
Congratulations.
James, how are you?
Oh, yes. My pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. I want to say, first of all, we have a number of employees here today, and the recognition really goes to our employees. They're the ones that do what they do every day to see that Kimray has a good reputation and that Kimray does what we follow the core values that we've established. You might wonder why a company would go to all the trouble to even fill out the application, which is very extensive for the Compass Award. We just went through a recertification process with API, and as a manufacturing company, ISO and CSA and API certification is really necessary for us to sell product in not only the United States, but in Canada and other countries. But we feel that character is important, integrity, ethics is important for our employees to be successful and for our company to be successful. And as such, we see the application for the Compass Award as being kind of a certification process for us to evaluate how we're doing. And I've got to tell you, I sometimes wonder if the Compass Award process isn't more grueling in some ways than the API certification and those that we go through. So I don't know whether you've worked hard, Shannon, to make this difficult or what, but it's great. And then last, I would like to just recognize Shannon Warren. You know, Shannon has been a great friend from the very beginning of the founding of Oklahoma Ethics, and Shannon has been an encouragement to us. And if it weren't for what she was doing, there would be no Compass Award, there would be no luncheon today. None of this would be taking place. So thank you so very much, Shannon.
If you look at the back of your program, you'll see Stephen Howard, and he's holding a completely deflated basketball. The deflated basketball stems from an instance after he had retired from playing professional basketball when he was packing for a trip, and he noticed the deflated basketball languishing in a corner of his closet. Stephen realized that the air was out of his career just like it was out of that basketball as far as professional basketball goes. But he also realized that he was well on the way to breathing life into another career as a public speaker and as a national sports commentator. Stephen, as Thunder fans, believe me, we are very familiar with the deflated basketball because the air has certainly gone out of our season for this year. Raised in a Dallas home by a mother who was a school principal and a father who I think still is a high school counselor, Stephen grew as a student as well as a basketball player. So it was no surprise that he became DePaul University's first academic All-American basketball player. His NBA career included playing for the Utah Jazz, the Seattle Supersonics, and the San Antonio Spurs. Stephen now works for ESPN as a college basketball analyst and for Fox Sports Southwest as the studio analyst of the New Orleans Pelicans. Folks, let's welcome Stephen Howard.
I just wanted to say, initially when they were talking about Texas and me, when I was little, my parents, both of whom are educators, my dad was going to school in Durant, and I was really little, and he always tells me that my room was a little closet, so I do have a little bit of Oklahoma in me, so it's not that bad that I'm over here. Thank you for that warm welcome. That was about 5 minutes ago. I appreciate being here and being a part of this great awards presentation about ethics in Oklahoma. And I think it's really special that you guys had this. And when I was reading about it, it was very interesting, and I think it's indicative of really the Oklahoma, just what it makes to be an Oklahomian. So that's a great job, great organization. And let's give another round of applause to all the award recipients, because it's a great accomplishment. So I had a little bit awkward when I was getting introduced. I had a slight ethical dilemma myself. I don't know if they talked about, the part of my past with the Thunder, but, I'm an ESPN college basketball analyst, and my other job is I'm the studio pre- and post-game analyst of the New Orleans Pelicans. That in the last game of the season knocked the Thunder out of the playoffs with an improbable victory over the San Antonio Spurs. And so I was thinking, when Mr. Womack called me about my introduction and we were talking about it, I said, you don't need to really mention that part. And he starts talking about, well, this is, a conference on ethics and integrity, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. What's all that about? But I will say my first job, though, was an ESPN analyst, and I started doing that about 7 years ago when Kevin Durant was drafted out of University of Texas. And so I followed him, and I followed his career, and, he's a tremendous player. But one of the reasons why I was a little bit nervous about my Pelicans background is because 4 years ago I was the studio analyst of the Oklahoma City Thunder when they went to the finals versus the Miami Heat. And in that time, I learned about Thunder fan, and I learned that the Thunder fans really, and this isn't just because I don't want to get hurt in this presentation, but the Thunder fans really they stand alone in the NBA as far as the best fans, the most supportive fans. I love how, before every game, they stand until the Thunder score. Totally different atmosphere in New Orleans. They have a late coming, it's the Big Easy, so they late coming crowd. And it really wasn't until the playoffs that I saw like true fans. And I remember it was the first game, and they were standing, at the very beginning. I'm like, wow, I wonder if they're gonna, try to start a new tradition when they stand until the Pelicans score. But they kept standing, and so maybe they hadn't gotten the when they score you sit down part, but still, they were cheering. So it was a good thing. It was a good thing. When you played in the NBA like I have, and you're not a Hall of Fame NBA guy like I am not, you tend to not follow a certain team. You tend to follow players or coaches. You root for individual guys, and that's one of the reasons why I root for Kevin Durant, because, when it comes to work ethic and being a teammate, he's really among the tops. And, as far as efficient playing in the NBA, there really is nobody better. Then you get to Russell Westbrook. And let me say, I'm a huge huge Russell Westbrook fan. I actually call him Angry Russell, which, you know, you guys will understand where I'm coming from, the way that he played this year. I've never really understood why there's so much Russell Westbrook hate out there until this year. Now, in basketball, like in most sports, you have the purists in your sport, guys that they want to put everything in a box. And, you know, in basketball, you have the point guard, the shooting guard, the small forward, the power forward, the center. Russell Westbrook really doesn't fit in any of those guard positions. He's not a point guard. You know Russell, he's trying to do other things other than get other people the ball. He's not a scoring guard because he's too short really to be a shooting guard. He's not a small forward. So he really doesn't fit into any of those boxes. Now, one thing about Russell Westbrook, though, is his will to win, for me, is really unmatched in the NBA. And there's a lot of players that really espouse what Michael Jordan was about, greatest player of all time. Kobe Bryant has that mentality. But the only player that I've seen that has that will to win like Michael Jordan is Russell Westbrook. I mean, there's nothing else that he cares about except winning. And so he doesn't fit into a box, but that will to win really separates him from everyone. And I think that's really what upsets those purists, because we can't make him a point guard, we can't make him a shooting guard. What is he? Well, we can't figure anything out, so let's just not like him. I don't know, I don't understand it. Basketball has gray areas. What's a great play to me might be an okay play to you. Just like I think Russell Westbrook's an awesome player, then there's people that just hate him. There's those gray areas. I have no problem with that, you know, the objectivity of the sport. I don't have a problem with that. The basketball purists, they do. Now, there is a part of basketball that isn't gray, the rules. You know, we got the 94 feet, the rim's 10 inches, 24-second clock, 3-second clock. I see some of you shaking your head like, what about traveling? See, how do I explain this? Traveling in the NBA, it's kind of like traffic signs in Europe. It's more like a suggestion. We would like for you to only take 2 steps, please. If not, okay. Then it depends on if you're a star or not. Then you can take 5 if you need that to get to the rim, LeBron James. Now, just like in your business, in the businesses that are celebrating here for excelling in ethics, you know, those rules, those laws are really the foundation of what makes your business and what makes you exceptional in your business. Those are the foundation of your business, the foundation of your game. And really, when you're creating an organization, when you're creating a team, you really start from the ground up. You know, and you create those guiding principles that are going to lead you throughout really the building of your organization, of your team. You know, I want to have the fastest team out there, or I want to be the most physical team. I just want to be focused on defense. And then after that, you decide the people that you want to be a part of your organization or your team. You know, I just want winners. All right, well, I want people with an edge to them, or I want them to be lean and mean. You know, once you figure that out, then you move forward, and you move forward with your organization. I had an opportunity to play for the San Antonio Spurs 96-97 season, and never in my life, and even since then, have I seen a team that's been more hamstring or snake bitten by injuries, even more so than the Thunder this year. I mean, on that team you had David Robinson, Dominique Wilkins, Vinny Del Negro, Chuck Person, and at one point of the season, they all were hurt, sometimes all of them at the same time. So obviously that team struggled. They lost a lot of games, and they found themselves in the lottery. And were fortunate enough to get Tim Duncan. The rest is history. So in some warped way, I feel like I have a great deal to do with the success of the Spurs, because, I mean, really, seriously, they should be sending me royalty checks or something every year. I mean, I helped them get Tim Duncan. I helped them with one of their worst seasons ever. So That's my contribution. So Tim and I are kind of linked at the hip. But one of the reasons why the Spurs are so successful is because they have that strong culture. Not only is their culture about winning, but if you dig deeper, it's how they win. You know, you got ball movement, execution, defensive principles, but really most important to me, you got high character guys, much like you do here with the Oklahoma City Thunder. When I look at the guiding principles of this consortium, a lot of them really resonate with sports and with basketball. Responsibility to self and others. When's the last time you heard of a Thunder player getting in trouble in the news? And if you did hear that, you knew that they weren't going to be a Thunder player much longer. Service. You know, they all put their franchise in front of themselves. I saw a story recently where Russell Westbrook gave the car that he won for being the MVP to a single mom who was finishing school. Things like that. Collaboration. Russell Westbrook. Just kidding. No, seriously, I do love Russell Westbrook, but that guy plays 82 games with a chip on his shoulder. Do you know how difficult it is to play 82 games with a chip on your shoulder? That'd be like every day of the year, you guys waking up for work like, woo, I'm gonna kill it. Yes. You all know that there's some days when you just don't got it. And I don't know how he does it. I don't know if he's got one of his boys or someone that calls him before the game like, dude, you will not believe what Kobe said about your mom. What? Then the next game, like, man, you're not gonna believe this. James Harden has been killing your mom on social media. What? It's gotta be something like that, because I don't know how, I mean, he gets the tip, he's angry, and there's nothing else in his way. I don't know how he does it. It's really amazing, but the guy has got focus like nobody I've ever seen. Okay, I got sidetracked on Russell there, but collaboration. And there I go back to the Spurs. I don't really know who dubbed the Spurs as boring basketball. Whoever did that really doesn't know anything about basketball, because they're all about the essentials, the foundation of basketball. You got the execution, the ball movement, really one of the best passing teams ever in the NBA. I don't know who thinks winning is boring, but they're basically the gold standard in the NBA for winning. Respect. Respect for their coach, players, teammates. I know a lot of you saw when Scott Brooks was fired, Kevin Durant put something out on social media about how much he respected him, how much he helped him grow, while also being behind the decision of 100%. You know, that's their coach, they loved him, but you know, they have to move on. But that respect of him and what he brought to them was there. Lead with integrity. How you lead is really going to determine how I follow. You know, you really can't expect your employees to work with integrity, ethics, character, if the management is at the golf course all day long, or the management doesn't espouse those same values. Dependability. I'll go back to the Spurs and Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's 38 years old. He's rolled back the clock. Last 2 weeks of the NBA season, he was averaging 25 and 10. Repeatedly during these NBA playoffs, he's been playing like the 28-year-old Timmy and not the 38-year-old. They can depend on him. You know, you could look at even the Thunder. Kevin Durant played all season long with that foot injury. Russell Westbrook played with a dent in his face. I mean, these guys were dependable. The teammates knew, hey, these guys are going to be there for us. Initiative. Look, the Thunder, they know what they have to do in order to win, and they go out there and do it. Honor. Always being in that mode of continual learning, always getting better as a player, as a team, as a person, on and off the court. Courage. The Spurs, people say that they're boring. They play the game the right way. They play the game their way. They do not care what you think about the way they play. And lastly, inspire trust. That's the one thing I love about great teams is they trust each other. And they trust the system, they trust the coach. And you know, when you watch great basketball teams, you go into the fourth quarter, and regardless of what the score is throughout the game, I always say that the NBA is like a video game. They have the autocorrect. So once you get to the fourth quarter, it's always going to be a close basketball game. And in that fourth quarter, everybody has to execute. Everybody has to be on the same page, or you're going to lose a basketball game. Offensively, you come down, you need to get that shot. There's a pin down on this side. You got to come out hard. The person that screens has to set a great screen. If that option's not over, there's a flash to the ball on the other side. He's a release valve. If all that stuff doesn't work just like you practiced it every time, if one player's tired this play or upset because he didn't get the ball, you're not going to score. And if repeatedly you don't score, you're going to lose the basketball game. Same thing on defense. You got those defensive principles. We're going to double team Kevin Durant on the first dribble or on the catch. We're going to go and we're going to play zone after 10 seconds. If everybody doesn't play strict adherence to those rules, you're going to lose basketball games. You lose basketball games, you don't make the playoffs. You don't make the playoff, the coach gets fired. You repeatedly don't make the playoffs, the GM gets fired. Then we're cleaning a house. Everybody, there's a whole new front office. Same thing in your business. You have an employee that finds a shortcut to do his work. He tells his buddy, hey, I got a shortcut to do work. Let's do this. We can get out here early. You go hit the golf course. Our manager's there anyway. You know. Then they tell some other employees, and then the product, you know, starts to not be the same standards as it was before. Customer service falters. The money starts to decline. The board recognizes this. They fire a couple of managers, mix it up. It continues to decline. And then they get a new CEO. They bring in a whole new shop. Then you get bought out by Walmart. Then you know what happens. Successful companies are really built on the backs of morality, ethics, and character. You know, let's be honest. There's people, there's corporations that have really sold out for money. And they've been successful for a while, but that success is never sustained. It's never long-lived. The trick to be a successful, long-lived company is the way you go about your business, those ethics, the character of your company, of your employees. And that's why I applaud everybody that's here right now, because you espouse those beliefs. You know, my father told me when I was young something that he repeated throughout my youth, that really there's never a right time to do the wrong thing. And I always hear that in my head. Never a right time to do the wrong thing. Speaking of my dad, like to know me and to know anyone, you have to know where they come from. And as Oscar told you in my introduction, both my parents were educators, teachers. Really, my whole family is in education. My grandmother was a teacher. I have aunts and uncles on both sides that are in education still now. My dad was a high school counselor. My mom was a middle school principal. And I was really raised that the right way really was the only way to do things. I told my friend something about my dad recently, and it just blew her mind. She didn't believe me. And I said, to this day, I've never heard my dad use a curse word. When my mom would talk about the nether region, she would say H-E-double-L. I'm not saying that my parents are better than yours. But, you know, that's just the way that I was raised. And, you know, those little things, when you're little, you know, it might not resonate as much when you grow older. Those are the things that really stick out. There was a culture of learning in my house, and it made it so that learning was really continuous, and it never stopped. I remember when I was in elementary, I don't remember when exactly this happened, but it was during the summer. I was going out to play in the park somewhere, maybe go play basketball somewhere, so I left my mom a note. Hey, Mom, I'm going to the park, be back, blah, blah, blah. So I go, and I come back later on, and you know, I'm walking by the kitchen table. There's red marks on my note to my mom. she had corrected and graded my note. Really? So I developed a little complex where I would just be like, Mom, Dawn, Stephen, you know. But really what my mom and my dad were teaching me is that really every day is filled with multiple teachable moments, and that there are so many things that you can learn from a day. Now, when your parents are educators, I mean, the teachable moments never cease. I mean, there's no summer break, there's no Christmas vacation, there's no summer break. I mean, I'm always doing workbooks, SAT preps, something. Summer school, even if I didn't get a bad grade, because this is something, you know, we know you struggle with. Well, the teachers didn't say that I got a good grade, well, you know. But those teachable moments that I had really growing up, eventually I started to learn to embrace those, and embracing that continual learning, that process that my parents as educators really threw on me. Now my dad's a strong, silent type. He doesn't really talk a lot, but when he says something, you listen because it holds a lot of weight. And he taught me something with that the less that you speak, the more equity that your words have. Now, clearly, I didn't learn that much from that as a TV broadcaster and a speaker, but I remember the lesson. I remember in high school, my dad got called to jury duty. Anyone in here that likes going to jury duty, raise your hand. Let's be honest, ethics here. Oh, okay. Anyone here likes to go to jury duty? Okay, so my dad is the only person I've ever met in my life that likes to go to jury duty. He feels it's his obligation as a taxpayer, American citizen. Really, my dad's an amazing person. And so he was on jury duty, and it was for like over a week. And so I'm asking him, like, hey, you know, what's this, you know, trial about? He said, well, I can tell you after it's over. Really, Dad? This is not the O.J. Simpson trial. You're not on the presidential impeachment, you know, trial. You're not sequestered as far as I know. You know, you can't tell me, but, you know, that's my dad. He follows the rules to the law, and, you know, regardless of what was going on, you know, he's going to follow the rules. I'm probably the guy when they're picking out the jurors and they're like, well, what do you feel about giving this sort of a sentence? Death penalty! Well, this is just for a red light violation, sir. Oh, excuse me, I must be in the wrong room. I'm sorry. There's a story I heard recently. There's a man, he was on a horse. He was going down a road, and he came to a fork in the road. In the middle of the fork, there was a cat. Okay, work with me with this part. There was a cat in the middle of the road. So the man asked the cat, which way should I go? The cat asked the man, well, where are you going? The man replied, I don't know. The cat said, well, it really doesn't matter. You know, if you don't know where you're going and how you're going to get there, it really doesn't matter. You know, you're going to have issues with ethics and questions on how to do things. And if you ask yourself where you're going, those are going to answer a lot of your questions. Now, these little conversations with my parents and these little examples that my parents would give me, they really taught me a lot about ethics and character, integrity. They planted seeds in me that they hoped would blossom. Just like your corporations, you plant seeds with your employees, with the internal memos, the workshops, the retreats. That constant reinforcement of what's right, the constant reinforcement of the values of the company that you want your employees from the top to the bottom to espouse. I'm sure most of you think growing up I was a stud. Or you should, no. If you did think that, you were wrong. I was that awkward, shy, clumsy kid that was always falling into his locker, that you were like, wow, look at that kid. I hope he gets out of high school alive. That was me. But I started to really grow into my body and figure things out like the latter part of my freshman year. And so by the time I was a sophomore, I started to, figure it out a little bit athletically. There was a buzz about me in the city of Dallas, outside of my little private school. So I was starting to, feel it a little bit. So I remember I came home one day that sophomore year, and I saw my parents sitting on the couch together. You know when your spidey sense starts going off a little bit? It was just a little odd. So then, my mom says, can you sit here on the couch? Red flag. That's when you're like, what is it called? The fight or flight? Like, there was something in my mind like, run, Forrest. So I sat down, and my parents had my report card in their hand. And that's when you're like, you missed your chance to live. Like something told you to run, you got to listen to that. So I'm sitting there, and so my mom, she starts out apologizing to me. She said, look, son, your dad and I want to apologize to you. We put too much on your plate. See here that you got a C on your report card. And so we're going to help you out. We're going to take some stuff off your plate. Wow. This did not go how I thought it was going to go. This is not bad. So she said, all right, on your next report card, if there's a C anywhere on your report card, even in the spelling of a name, which is difficult because Christopher is my middle name, so I don't know. But if there's a C anywhere on the report card, even in the spelling of a name, you will not play sports for the rest of that year. What? Are you guys drunk? Are you guys crazy? Have you guys gone bananas? Clearly, I did not say any of that. But I thought it. So I did what any normal high school kid would do. I stormed up, went in my room, and I slammed the door as softly as you could. Turned on my boombox. See a lot of you older people nodding your head, you know exactly what that is. Found some Lionel Richie and some Luther Vandross, and I had myself a pity party. And I know all you know about that pity party. And I found the most depressing, sad songs on those albums, and I listened to those over and over and over again. And just had myself a good old-fashioned, awesome pity party. Now, after that was over, I knew I had a decision I had to make. Because my parents weren't those type that were just bluffing and, I got to get a C that next time and, okay, we see you're trying. No, they said what they meant and they meant what they said. So I had a decision. Was I going to give up and say, hey, school's just not my thing and I guess sports isn't my thing either, or was I going to buck up and fight it? So I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to put that same passion into the classroom that I'd put into sports. I'm going to try to excel the exact same way that I did in the classroom that I did on the court. It's easy to say that. I mean, I had a C. C's average. It's not bad, but it wasn't mastery of Spanish. So how was I going to do that? Was I going to bust my behind and do extra work and get extra credit with the teacher and ask for help? I could cheat. I could, get the answers. I could have Sally next to me with the big 4-inch magnifying glasses, eyes that thought I was cute. No, nobody thought I was cute in high school. That was a fib. And ask her for the answers or maybe cheat off her in the test. I mean, I had options. But then I go back to those seeds that were planted when I was younger. My dad wanted to be a juror, those teachable moments. And so I buckled down. I worked extra hard. And I got better. And I'm not the type of guy that things come easily to, not even in athletics. I'm a guy that has to work twice as hard for everything. But the one thing I learned about myself is that I liked that. I liked that feeling of hard work and then you see the results of your hard work. I loved at the end of a workout thinking, wow, I had a tough workout today and I made it through it. And that transferred over to school when I would be up all night studying and then I get the test report back and I got an A. I loved that feeling. Now, what I didn't like was not succeeding. And so, with everything out there, there's a choice. There's a choice in what you're going to do. At that moment, my whole attitude about life really changed. All the lessons, those seeds that my parents had planted, integrity, ethics, character, they blossomed. So after I decided to apply myself in school and really had that same passion in everything that I did, I never got another C. Not in high school, not in college. In fact, I was in the dean's list every academic quarter at DePaul University. That choice I made, thank you for that one applause, I appreciate that. I have a speech next week. Could you be there? It's in Dallas, but I'm gonna need you there, all right? That choice I made as a sophomore in high school impacted me in high school, it impacted me in college, it impacted me in the NBA, and now it impacts me now with ESPN, because there's really no way that I would be working for ESPN right now if I wasn't the only academic All-American to go to DePaul University. Now, I've heard a lot of speakers in the past, and they'll have those success stories of, I started from the bottom, now we're here. I'm just kidding. That just popped into my head. I don't know why it is. But I started at the bottom, became successful, was at the top, and I lost my focus, my moral compass, whatever, and then lost everything, lost my family, went back to the bottom. Now I've worked my way up and I'm back at the top. I have nothing against those type of people. Everybody deserves a second chance, but that's not my story. I'm the guy that's done everything right, that has stayed on that straight and narrow, and that's been my ticket to success. And there's nothing wrong with that either. It doesn't seem like those type of stories are celebrated as much as the others, which I think that's indicative on our society, but there's nothing wrong with being the good guy. And being the good guy really should be celebrated. You heard Oscar's introduction talking about my deflated basketball on my website. And FYI, that was before Deflategate, so I actually have some royalties coming in from Patriots too, so Spurs, now the Patriots. This has been a good year for me. That picture, though, really resonates with everything I talk about. Because if you think about it, the air is going to go out of something in your life all the time, whether it be relationships, your job, an ethical situation. Because once you put out that fire, there's going to be another fire that's going to pop up somewhere else. The more successful you are at dealing with those situations where the air goes out of your ball, the more successful you're going to be. FYI, when the air went out of Russell Westbrook's ball, he got a triple-double. He had a dent in his face, and he got a triple-double. So, drop mic, In college, the air went out of my ball. I had to transition from high school play to a more physical college play, while the academics being more difficult as well, being on your own. When I got to the NBA, air went out of my ball. Had to transition to playing against the best in the world, not being the star. Then after my NBA career, my professional basketball career was over, the air really went out. I got a job with ESPN, something I'd never done before as far as broadcasting. So I had to transition into that. The air's always going to go out of your life in some situation. How you deal with that is going to determine how successful you are. Now, the average career of an NBA player is a little over 3 years. I had a 15-year professional career playing basketball of one-year contracts. Now, do you know what it means to have a 15-year career of one-year contracts? That means every year is a contract year. Every game is a money game. Every shot is a game winner and a game loser. And believe me, there are more game losers than game winners. Do you know what else it means when you've had a 15-year career or one-year contracts? It means you've been cut, waived, or fired a lot. Does anybody know how many times I was cut, waived, or fired in my 15-year career? No, that was a real question. Didn't you hear the inflection of my voice? Because I don't know. I stopped counting it at 16. True story. I didn't let getting cut, waived, or fired deter me. I didn't let it deter me from my goal. I didn't let it deter me from what I knew that I had to do, what I could do in my life. So every year, I had to get a new job. Every year, the air went out of my basketball career. I didn't know whether or not I was going to have a job. I didn't know whether or not I'd have to call you guys up and get a real job. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just stayed true to me. You see, I'm not here talking to you because I played in the NBA. I'm not here talking to you because I'm a successful ESPN commentator. I'm here talking to you really right now because I didn't quit, and in large part because of my brand. Stephen Howard Incorporated, me, and how I ran that brand, much like you guys run your corporations, using those same guiding principles of ethics, character, and integrity. You know, in the NBA, I was a fringe player. I was average. Average in the top 1% of the world, I'll take that. That's not bad. There's a very small margin between good and great in the NBA. And so if I would have taken some illegal performance enhancers, that would have meant millions of dollars to me. That would have been the difference of a 15-year career of one-year contracts and maybe 4 3-year contracts, multi-million-dollar money. The funny thing to me, I guess it's really not funny, but you know, I think about this all the time, and I thank my parents for that. But I never considered that. Not my whole NBA career. Never once considered doing anything illegal, taking anything illegal, cutting any corners. That wasn't part of my DNA. That wasn't part of the DNA of Howard Incorporated that my parents had instilled with me, those teachable moments, those seeds that they planted. That culture of learning that I grew up in, that always had me to inquire, to try to improve myself. It wouldn't allow that. The air went out of a lot of things during my 15-year career. But those guiding principles, those ethics, they stayed firm. They stayed firm when I didn't have a job. They stayed firm when I was struggling for money. They stayed firm when I saw friends of mine sign these huge contracts that I knew that I was better than them. They stayed firm when I was in Europe, when I knew I should be playing in the NBA. And I'm just trying to figure out what my teammates are saying, but I knew it couldn't be good because there's a lot of this all the time. I don't know what he said, but he doesn't look happy. And it always goes back to my dad. There's never a right time to do the wrong thing. It's really so simple that it's perfect. There's never a right time to do the wrong thing. Now, I know one thing that everybody in here understands is it's not easy doing the right thing all the time. In school, you're labeled the teacher's pet, the do-gooder. In college, I had all these nicknames, like Professor Howard, and, you know, has a different tone than like Dr. J. The glove, Durantula, you know, the beard, even though the beard, what does that mean? That's really not that great. I mean, you're known for your facial hair. I don't know. So in college, clearly I was always studying. And so it would be a Friday night, and the basketball players in our dorm had all the corner rooms. So the stairs were on the right coming up, you know, the fire escape, and then the elevators were on the left. So you could hear when someone was going to come to your room. So I would always be sitting on my couch studying with a book. And until I could hear someone close to my room, I'd put the book down and turn on the TV. Hey, what's up? Just watching TV. Oh, there's a party though? Okay, I'll be there. All right. Then they'd leave, I'd turn off the TV, get my book back. I'm already the team nerd. I'm not going to be the guy studying on Friday and Saturday night. So come on now, I had to have some sort of street cred out there. So it's not always easy, being that guy that's always doing the right thing. As a professional during the summers, that's when I really would make NBA teams. 15-year career, one-year contract, summer, I knew that I had to be in better shape than everyone. I had to shoot better than everyone. I couldn't get tired. So when everybody else is out partying and having a good time, I'm going to sleep at 10 o'clock because I had to get up 5:30, 6 a.m. to go hit the track before that summer blistering Texas sun gave me heat exhaustion. So those sacrifices that I would have to continuously make. Now, even with ESPN, everybody thinks that's a glamour job. Ooh, you get to talk sports all the time. That's cool. You get to be on TV. What you don't realize is, just like when I was in the NBA, more times than not, you're going to find me at home at night, either watching games, studying game tape, studying up players, their history, the team history, what their parents did, personal interest stories. I have to study, and I'll have all this information. In a good game, when you're doing something on TV, is if you get to use 15% of the information that you have. So I just mound information after information just in case I need it. Now, for the most part, I don't, and I'm just exhausted after the game looking at all this stuff like, man, why did you do that? But it's part of the process that I have to have. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have fun, but the majority of the job is built up of a lot of monotonous work. That does have some fun at the end, that has some icing on the cake, like talking with you guys. I had no idea, though, as a child, the lessons that I was being taught by my parents, the lessons of character, integrity, ethics. And really, I didn't have an idea of what they were teaching me to do. They were teaching me how to run a corporation. Stephen Howard Incorporated, me. I work for ESPN now, which I don't know if you know this, but it's owned by Disney. And there's really no better or famous brand out there than the Disney brand. I mean, you look at their font, you immediately see Walt Disney. You know, even without reading that it's Disney. That's their font. A Disney movie, it doesn't even have to say Disney. You know what a Disney movie is. Their theme parks. You know that brand of Disney. They've really perfected running a brand. And what people don't realize is that you're your own brand. You have to run your brand just like a corporation. And that's really what my parents were teaching me at an early age. At DePaul University, I was a 4-year starter, never got in trouble. I was first team academic All-American my junior and senior year. As Oscar mentioned, I was the first ever academic All-American, and I'm the last. Good for me, not so good for DePaul. Not only was I smart, but I could play a little basketball. When I graduated, I was top 5 in scoring and rebounding, number 1 in games played and free throws made. So that told the NBA that I was a hard worker, I was a good basketball player, I was smart, and I wouldn't give them any headaches. Not quite good enough to get drafted, but good enough to get invited to a veterans camp. I said, veterans camp. One veterans camp. I got invited to veterans camp with the Utah Jazz. Now, the Utah Jazz were much like the Spurs before the Spurs. They had a culture with Utah. They had a system. They didn't deal with knuckleheads. They had high character guys. And with the Jazz, then much like the Spurs now, and even like the Thunder, it's got to be the guys at the top that espouse those beliefs. Because like I mentioned earlier, you can't have your manager or your owner talking about values and integrity and they're always out at the golf course, or you're always reading them about them on TMZ getting in trouble or something. And it's not by accident that, these teams are successful. I know when I played with the Utah Jazz, Karl Malone and John Stockton were always the first to practice, the last to leave. We always have to do this health test every year with the Jazz where some of you might have done it before when they test your heart rate and they put you on a treadmill and every 4 minutes they go up. And so John Stockton every year would come last. He'd go last. He'd ask the trainer, okay, what time do I have to beat? And he'd get on there and he would beat that time. 18, 19 minutes, 22 minutes. He did that until he retired. I forget what age he retired at. I think it was 42 or 43. Now, I remember I would come in there literally in the best shape of my life, and when it would get to about like 10, 11 minutes, that elevation is high, and your back is tightening up, and your body is screaming at you like, really? We don't have something else we could do right now? And so I always think about him like every year just killing that. But he was sending a message to all these young whippersnappers, whoever was coming in, that this is still my team, that this is what training camp's going to be like, this is what every day is going to be like, this is how I'm starting the season before it's even going, this is how we're going to go. They led every drill. They never complained. They held the message. When teammates didn't act accordingly, they would be the ones to deliver the message. It can't always be the coach. So how is the 10th or 12th guy on the bench going to say, I don't feel like practicing today, or I'm tired in the game, when the all-star who played 38 minutes the day before is the first guy there leading every drill? Happy to be there, because happiness is a choice. Oh man, talked to me about that before. He's so right. You can always tell organizations that have a successful culture as well, because they had that same management in place for a while. Back with my Utah Jazz, Jerry Sloan, one of my favorite coaches of all time, just because if you worked hard and did things the right way, he was going to roll with you. He was a coach for the Jazz over 20 years, much like Popovich is the coach of the Spurs for so long, much like Scott Brooks is, oh dang, I forgot to change that. I'm just kidding. I like Scott Brooks, but Billy Donovan is a great coach. You guys are going to enjoy him as well. But when you have coaches, don't tell Scott I said that either. I like him. But when you have coaches or management that's been in place for a long time, that creates that stability and that system where they're able to make that part of the infrastructure, part of the culture. You see the same thing with the Spurs where Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, they set the tone for those teams. KD, Russell Westbrook, they set the tone with the Thunder. Now, after playing in the NBA and in Europe and Asia, a little bit in the Middle East, I got a call when I was playing in Saudi Arabia. It was a call from ESPN, and they said, hey, we're going to give you 2 games the following year. I knew I wasn't that Hall of Fame guy like Charles Barkley or Shaq, that when I retired, the networks would be fighting over me to offer me a gig. So 2 games the next year was all it took for me to walk away. I was given those 2 games to try out with ESPN, not because of my NBA career. I was there for my whole NBA career, and I don't even remember it. I was given that opportunity really because I'm the only academic All-American at DePaul University. There was something significant that stood out at me. Not only that, my brand, Stephen Howard Incorporated, matched the brand of Disney, of ABC, of ESPN. They knew I wasn't going to be a knucklehead, give them a headache. I was going to do the right thing. The culture of learning that my parents instituted when I was younger, always trying to better myself, always adhering to the character traits, the ethics that they espouse, that impacted me. And that allowed me to excel in college, in the NBA, and now at ESPN. And when I played professional basketball, I knew my career was going to be finite. I mean, 15-year career, one-year contracts, you never know when that's going to end. And so I knew I had something to fall back on. That something was me, Stephen Howard Incorporated. I ran that corporation with the same ethics, the same integrity and character that you guys espouse in your corporation. Now, the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is a story. It's one of my favorite stories. It's about a priest in pre-revolutionary Russia. He's walking down a road, and a soldier steps out. The soldier points his rifle at the priest and asks him, "Who are you? Where are you going? And why are you going there?" Unfazed, the priest looked at the soldier and asked him, "How much are they paying you?" The soldier was kind of surprised, and he told him what was equivalent to about $25 a month. So the priest looked at the soldier, and he calmly replied, "If I give you $50, will you stop me every day on this road and ask me those same exact 3 questions? Who are you? Where are you going? And why are you going there?" I think about that story often, particularly when I'm having problems or situations I need to work through. And when you ask yourself those questions and you answer them honestly, with that internal core that I know all of you have, the questions and the answers are always easy. Now, I applaud everyone in this room tonight. I applaud all the corporations that got the awards and everybody that adheres to these same awards, because you've created a culture in your corporation. You've created a culture that I know we all hope trickles down into our society. And I think the only sad thing about this award is the fact that there's not more like them everywhere. And hopefully you guys can make that happen. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you having me here.
Thank you, Stephen. He is such a good sport, and we really appreciate everybody putting up with all the technical challenges. You're wonderful people. Stephen has agreed to stay a little later if you want to have a photo made with him over here with Ted. So feel free. I'll let you kind of head that way or you'll get swamped, I think. So yeah, that'd be great. Just very quickly, wanted to let you know Oklahoma City is the OK Ethics chapter here will be going on a summer break. So we'll see you again in August. And at that time, we'll have Commander Arthur Gibb with the U.S. Naval Academy. Thank you, Lynn, for arranging that. But June, Tulsa will be hosting Jeffrey Roberts with BKD to talk about insights into workplace fraud. So we're looking forward to that. And Dave Hager will be here. He's Chief Operating Officer at Devon Energy. And of course, watch this summer for our mystery Prime Minister that Warren didn't mention earlier. Thank you for coming.